Awaz English. I'm Leila Nisar and you're watching Awaz Expressway. Now here's everything you need to know about the upcoming US elections. An election being called the most important of our time. Now voters across America will soon decide the 47th President and 50th Vice President of the United States, often considered the most powerful roles in the world. Now, candidates and their supporters claim that the future of democracy and American values are at stake in this election. Record amounts of money have flooded campaigns, fueling intense and sometimes highly polarized coverage on TV, in print and also on podcasts. Now, this year, all 435 seats in the House of Representatives are up for grabs, along with 34 seats in the Senate, shaping the 119th Congress. Now, voters will also choose 13 state governors and hundreds of local leaders. In 41 states, there are 159 ballot initiatives on issues that hit close to home. So 10 states, including Arizona, Colorado, Florida, will decide on abortion-related measures, while Florida, North Dakota and South Dakota are voting on whether to legalize marijuana. Now, let me also tell you how people are voting for US elections. With so many changes in voting, it's time to rethink what we call Election Day. Now, tens of millions of Americans have already casted their ballots early, either by mail or in person, avoiding long lines and the risks of bad weather. In Georgia, early voting shattered records, with thousands hitting the polls on day one. Now, Wisconsin saw an unheard of 97,000 voters on the first day alone. During the pandemic, Democrats pushed for mail-in voting to keep voters safe, while former President Donald Trump argued falsely that this method was prone to fraud. And although actual cases are very rare, but this year Republicans are joining the trend and increasingly encouraging early voting. All but 3 states, Alabama, Mississippi and New Hampshire, allow some form of early in-person voting. Now, this gives people the chance to vote ahead of time, making it easier to avoid crowds on election day. Now, many states offer absentee ballots, allowing voters to request a ballot by mail and return it safely, either through the mail or a secure drop box. 8 states now hold all mail elections, sending ballots to every registered voter automatically. Now, the question is, how are those early votes counted? Most states start counting on election day, but some wait until polls close, which means election results could be delayed in some places. Meanwhile, federal laws require that absentee ballots are sent to military members and overseas voters, adding more layers to the process. Let's break down who's in the race for the White House this year. Here's a quick look at the main candidates fighting to become the next president of the United States. Kamala Harris, age 60, is a Democratic nominee. She's currently the vice president and was previously a senator, California's attorney general and a San Francisco prosecutor. If she wins, she'll make a history as the first woman of color to hold the highest office in America's 248 years history. Next, we have Donald Trump, 78, the Republican candidate making his 3rd straight bid for the presidency. Now, Donald Trump, a former businessman and reality TV star, was the first president ever impeached twice, and he's been convicted of a crime. He's also the oldest nominee from a major party and survived 2 assassination attempts in this summer. And then we have Chase Oliver, representing the Libertarian Party, is 39-year-old Chase Oliver. He's a newer face, having run for Georgia's state Senate in 2022. The Libertarian Party, which pushes for small government and individual freedom, doesn't usually get more than 3% of the vote, but in close races, every vote counts. And then we have Jill Stein, 74, a physician, is back for another run with the Green Party. Now, she's not holding back, accusing Democrats of letting down workers, young people, and the climate while Republicans, she says, don't even try. And finally, there's Cornel West, 71, running as an independent. He's a well-known activist, philosopher and academic aiming to draw in progressive, left-leaning voters who may not feel represented by the main parties. So there you have it, the top candidates in the 2024 presidential race. Now we are taking a closer look at the key issues driving the 2024 race to the White House. Here are the top topics shaping voters' decisions and how the major candidates stand on each other. So first up, abortion. This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which had protected the right to an abortion for nearly 50 years. Since then, many Republican-led states have passed strict bans. Kamala Harris has made reproductive rights central to her campaign, pushing for a national law to guarantee safe abortion access. Whereas Donald Trump, on the other hand, has argued it should be left to each state to decide and ruled out to national ban. Next is democracy. Democracy warned that Trump is a risk to democratic norms, pointing to the January 6th Capitol riot and his refusal to accept election results. Now, Harris has called Trump a fascist, saying he wants to act like a dictator and cozy up to foreign strongmen like Putin. Trump, meanwhile, claims without evidence that it's Harris who threatens democracy, citing criminal cases against him as proof. In a recent poll, voters in swing states were split, with a slight edge to Trump on protecting democracy. And then we have economy. Let's talk about it. The US economy is in strong position with low unemployment and steady growth. Still, polls show that Biden and Harris are trailing Trump when it comes to economic trust. Harris promises tax cuts, affordable housing and new child benefits, while Trump vows to cut taxes, impose big tariffs on imports, and protect Social Security and Medicare. And finally, immigration. Trump, as always, is taking a hard stance, pledging what he calls the largest deportation campaign in US history, and using intense language to describe the issue. Harris, meanwhile, has moved toward the center, supporting a bipartisan plan to add more border agents and manage crossings if they rise. So these are the issues on voters' minds, and they'll be key to deciding who becomes the next president. Keep it here for all the latest as the countdown to Election Day continues.